Have you ever watched a show that you'd expect to be good with all the hype surrounding it, only to find that it wasn't just good? It was something else. Something more. Like, whatever it was speaking to you in a way like nothing has before. It was special. It was different. It was a void.
and yeah, at the end of it, I felt this void which I hadn't felt in anime for. Do you know this void I'm talking about? Where
This is the void. I've done a video. My first video response to you ever, I mentioned the void. And the void is whenever something is so amazing, there's a hole in your life that could only be filled with the existence of that show and you watching it.
And like
Animation. It has the ability to have worlds and people do things that humans can't in the real world. You don't see humans jump from the ground onto a 2-story building. It's not possible because of gravity. But in a world filled with ninjas or superpowered beings, in a world that looks real but not at the same time, it makes it easier to believe that they can. And that's my favorite part about animation. Doing the impossible. Violet Evergarden was announced back in 2016, and when I first watched the PV, I honestly thought I was watching a movie trailer. There was no way an anime that looks this good will ever be a TV series. But I was wrong. It not only looks good, it looks better than the PV. And it was announced that it would be a TV series dropping on Netflix in the winter of 2018, with the first 3 episodes airing at Anime Expo summer 2017. What was this show about? Sure, I could have searched online, but I didn't. Instead, I just watched the subless PVs that would drop slowly until the release of the anime. If you asked me what Violet Evergarden was about, I would tell you it was an anime about a girl who loses her arms in a war that involves letters somehow. I had no idea what this show was about. I just knew I liked the music and I love Kyoto animation. While winter rolled around and podcasts would mention the slow start it has, I would be waiting for the Netflix release while watching other shows like Pop Team Epic, Eurocamp, in A Place Further Than the Universe. Violet Evergarden would fall to the back of my mind. Until... With the day off work, I parked myself in the living room, grabbed a comfy seat, and began to finally watch Violet Evergarden. A few hours later, and I finished the whole thing. I felt weird. Almost like I was sick without the side effects of being sick. For the rest of the day, I would finish another show, A Place Further Than the Universe, and listen to the Eurocamp opening. But the whole time I couldn't stop thinking about Violet Evergarden. Why? Why am I still thinking about it? It was a good show. I liked it. No. I didn't just like it. There was something more. There was something special. Usually, I enjoy fun anime a lot more than other shows. I enjoy just having fun with things. And when a show is a bit more heavy than usual, I just enjoy it as a story and nothing more. So why do some of these scenes keep playing back in my head? And why can't I stop thinking about these fictional 2D characters? A lot of anime that have large amounts of drama, however you define that word, have happy endings. But not always for all the characters, and almost never at the end of each episode. And most dramas are filled with tension throughout. But Violet Evergarden is different. Where most shows like Koe no Katachi and Anohana draw tension between our main characters and others, Violet Evergarden is the opposite, with most characters being upset with personal problems, and having Violet come in and throw it bluntly, yet lovingly in their face, as she helps however she can. Almost like an unintentional Nanny McPhee. And that's also where Violet's flaws are her tools that she uses to help others. As she strives for excellence and gives everything 120%, she is weighed down by her damaged body and lack of emotions, which are still developing. And that's how others see her. Even though she can't be perfect, she still tries. And that's what lights a spark in others. Instead of just complaining that I'll never be good enough and never try, I will. I will try and do my best. 'Cause if this broken girl can, why can't I? When the track across the violet sky started, I would feel a great rush as my feet would begin to sweat. It was like a train was picking up speed and rushing by, while other tracks, like the theme of Violet Evergarden and The Simple Mission, would have the surprisingly pleasant sound of typewriters in them. But the sound quality doesn't stop there, with things like the metal of Violet's arms clanking as she pulls up her gloves, or the sound of glasses crashing together, and the different sound textures for the footsteps, as well as the briefcase snappings, all being thrown into the first half of the first episode. The animation is stellar. I could make a whole video on why I love Kyoto Animation without mentioning the animation, but I could also make a whole video only mentioning the animation, because they are that good. For the change of the first PV's crazy yet awesome flow of movement and wind blowing things around, like hair and letters, to the final product, which is less hectic and much more smoother than the first design. That is not to say absent though, with scenes like these where the show personally benefits from. It seems like Violet Evergarden makes it a point to have every episode end as a happy one, even if it's not completely obvious right away. I find myself constantly being reminded about the show and then going down a rabbit trail thinking about it. The scenery, the characters, the music, Violet herself doing pretty much anything, and why her arms are the only unrealistic thing in this anime, while also trying to figure out how far up her arms go by using things like the rain. Why do I love this anime so much? It doesn't have big moments that were set up early on in the story, only to have them come out and make my jaw drop. There's no super cool fight scenes other than a handful of scenes. Even episode 12 and the first half of 13 are just kinda boring. Not to mention not knowing too much about the major, and having my main man Roland only get a few minutes of screen time.
That yakisoba, I could eat it.
I'm just writing addresses all day today.
As well as this weird love triangle thing going on. And no scenes of Violet before Dyfraid found her. Also hardly any of Claudia in the second half, with a completely unnecessary but amazing time-lapse every other episode. And the consistency the show has with the little things, like the 2 other plushies that Violet didn't choose sitting on Hajin's desk. And why does Luculia's voice actress change in episode 6 of the English dub?
I'm home. I can make dinner right away.
Hi, Violet. I admired your work with the Princess of Drossel.
I see. I wrote one too.
And why are they all named after flowers? Why?
And that's the first story lesson I ever learned. Use what you know, draw from it. Doesn't always mean plot or fact. It means capturing a truth from your experiencing, expressing values you personally feel deep down to your core.
We don't get to choose which shows or movies affect us. We just get to choose whether or not we accept them for what they are. Imperfect pieces of media that through our eyes are masterpieces.